Hey everybody, pretty long commentary video for you today. That's pretty much because of how long this workout actually ended up being, and I wanted to include all the sets because I have a few things that I do want to talk about. Um, Basically, the rep scheme for the squats today, for the first round, was 3 triples at 480, 2 doubles at 510, and then back down to 3 triples again at 480, then benching, and then come back for 5 sets of 3 at 455 for the squat. So it ends up being 13 work sets of squatting, which is pretty high volume, I would say. Anybody who would argue with that should try it and then tell me if they think it's high volume. But I had a couple of requests to discuss my thought process when going into a squat workout or just into a squat set in general. And aside from the cues that I go through of, make sure that I get my spine where I want it and jam my head back, knees out, back up, chest up, all those normal cues. Basically, the mindset that I approach every one of my training sets with, regardless of the exercise, is calm down. I know I can do this. It's all going to depend on how it looks and how it feels. I'm always trying to recreate the sensation of what a perfect rep would feel like to me, where everything just clicks, everything's locked in and feels solid. And with squats, it's especially hard because there are so many different variables that you can have. Bar setup and placement. You always want to have it the same, but depending on the rack or the bar you're using, sometimes the sensation's different. Whether you're wearing a belt or not, or the depth that you're going to, even something as simple as where you're putting your feet, if you ever have any kind of variance in your stance, can be sensation-changing factors that make you think about the set differently. And so I guess my normal mental setup is, you're going to be able to do this, make sure they're legit, and then try to make them look good. And when I get under the bar, I usually try not to hype up myself for, I do a little bit of pressure breathing before squats, just to get everything engaged and tight, but I don't really do, I won't go slap myself in the face or trying to go too crazy because emotional states are difficult to replicate, and if your lifting and success in your training depends on you being able to get into that emotional state whenever you have a workout where you're not feeling as mentally prepared, it's going to drastically affect the way that you're able to do your sets and the way that you're able to progress through the workout. And so, this is a great example of a day where I came in and I'm still really hurting from how last week went. I had a pretty, it was a great squat session on Friday night, a pretty difficult deadlift session on Saturday morning, then I had Sunday off and came back in Monday morning, and I'm greeted with a cold gym that the heat wasn't turned on until after I was done with squats. And so it was hard enough just to get warmed up and get moving, and also I'm looking at 13 work sets of weights that are not crazy to the point where I'm scared I'm going to miss things, but you have to pay enough attention. You can hurt yourself with any weight, and so it's the focus required to be able to do that. It can't depend on being able to replicate a high performance emotional state like you might. If I was going for a max squat, I could probably pull it together and get myself psyched up for one rep, but try doing 13 sets of multiple reps with weights that, are manageable, and you really get to test your mental acuity and being able to stay in the workout regardless, and remember all your cues after doing it over and over when you're just tired and fighting off the fatigue. And I think that's really important in any aspect for your training. If you know that you're going to be able to do the work, make sure that you focus on getting the reps good and everything coming together. Quick side note with the benching here. Today called for 2 triples at 265, 2 triples at 300, and then 4 doubles at 315, which last week was my I called for 2 singles at 315. So it was kind of interesting to me to see how that compared. I long paused every single set and every single rep, and was extremely happy with how great everything felt. The weight was moving really nice on the bench pressing, and I think I had the same kind of focus on this of, I know I can do this. It's going to depend on how much focus I can put in and stay in that mental state of just paying attention and not making silly mistakes. On the 4th set, I said I'm going to do the first 2, and if they feel good, I'm going to do a 3rd one. And I'm not going to just touch and go them, because I always end up messing myself up when I do that. And on the 3rd one, I kind of lost focus a little bit again. And you see that the weight kind of floats a little bit up on the right side towards my neck right before I start pushing, and it just throws me off in general. Afterwards, I've told myself that I really want to bring up my triceps, and I have learned in the past that high volume has just been the best situation for my body to grow in, and so I'm going to add in some, I'm going to do my weak point training, 1 or 2 movements each workout, and I'm just going to kill them with volume. So I did 8 sets of 10 for these tricep pushdowns, and felt pretty wrecked afterwards, and I was really excited for that. Then back over to squats again. It was just one of those, this is the kind of workout that makes you look at your overall training idea, and it made me think today, return to the mentality that I've lost a few times, and just want to make sure that everyone else knows where I'm coming from here. The only day that it matters how you feel is really the meet day. Every other day, every other training session, you can go in, you can be feeling pretty crappy, and you can just put in the work and do the work, but it doesn't matter if you're setting a PR in every training session. If you're doing work that you know is going to make you better, that needs to be your focus, because the workouts themselves are not particularly important as separate individual entities. The workouts are just the means to you putting together that one day. And so I've lost track of that a few times, and it's days like this that I really have to think about it again. And trying not to think too much past the current workout is always a struggle for me, and it's hard, because you kind of think to yourself, man, I want to save something for deadlifts on Wednesday, because I really like my deadlifts, and it's kind of comes down to, but it doesn't matter, because today is squat day. Today, this is what my focus belongs to, and these are the sets that are going to help me on the one day that matters. And I think it gets harder when you have a YouTube channel, and it gets harder when you're used to posting videos and when you're constantly trying to impress people, because that's what you do when you're putting your videos on YouTube. You want people to see what you're doing and go, wow, that's impressive, or, I'm inspired by your work ethic or whatever, when really your focus still needs to stay on that one day. I've never seen a YouTube weightlifter that I've been really impressed with who has awesome training and then sucks at meets, because the training should all lead up to putting on a performance at the meet. And I lost track of that last time before my last 3-lift meet, and was doing some pretty awesome stuff in my training sessions. I felt really good going in, and I was really focusing on putting together some impressive numbers for myself to stroke my own ego and to impress the people that were watching. And I didn't do well at my meet because I hadn't just buckled down and trained it the way I should. So I think that's important to remember, to keep in mind. No other days matter except for the meet day. And so put in the work and let yourself hurt a little bit. Let yourself go in and just have to push through a session and not just say, oh, I'm not feeling great today, so I'll call it a day. If you have to lower your training numbers, if you have to do whatever, put the most effort you can into improving that one day that actually is important. And that's the advice I have for the day. I have so much more I want to say on this topic, but this video is going to end up being 20 minutes long. So I'm going to call it there. If you guys have questions or comments, please leave them below. I'm really excited to talk about this topic, and I will probably bring it up in some other videos. But once again, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.